Welcome. Checkmate puzzles are one of the best ways to master patterns in chess. The reason being, checkmate puzzles are extremely deterministic. You have an absolutely correct answer most of the times, and your job is to find it. So, the whole concept of a puzzle, which is like your mind doesn't know about what the answer is, and at the end of it, you're aware of it, creates a transition in your brain. New neural connections are formed, old neural connections are reinforced, and that is exactly how any kind of learning happens, right? And in chess, pattern recognition plays a huge role in terms of your overall neural development when it comes to understanding and playing the game very well. And one of the best ways to do that is checkmate puzzles, because there is no scope whatsoever of discussing two different opinions here. A checkmate in one is a checkmate in one, a checkmate in two is checkmate in two. It's so deterministic. Now, solving checkmate in one is extremely easy, in the sense you would first need to recognize patterns. That's where you build the vocabulary of checkmating patterns in chess. And I've covered a lot of videos in the past which talks about these different checkmate patterns in chess. You can go and check it out. But today I want to focus on checkmate in two. And there's one specific secret method that can really help you. So to do this, we're going to go to Lichess puzzle themes. The way you get to that is go to Lichess, go to puzzles, go to puzzle dashboard. Within dashboard, click on puzzle themes. And you can actually scroll down and you'll be able to see all the mate puzzles kind of aggregated together. So we'll go to checkmate in 2. Now, these are puzzles which are about 1800 rated. And what I'm going to be doing is not really, come prepared here with a standard set of puzzles, but rather look at it ad hoc and just show you how the principle of ZugZwang really helps. Okay, now what is the principle of ZugZwang? It's basically like a checkmate in 2 is nothing but an extended checkmate in 1. The reason being, in checkmate in 1, your opponent has absolutely no say. You make the move and the game is over. But here, your opponent has some bit of wiggle room, right? But that wiggle room can be further reduced when you make a forced move. What I like to call as a ZugZwang move, because you don't have any other option. You've got to make only one possible response. So can you come up with such a move where you will be able to get that forced response? So in this case, let's go to this. In this case, you could think of a move like this. I want to move my rook to d1. But the problem with that is there are so many possible responses here. The queen can move wherever he wants. That in itself is going to be a lot of moves. The pawn can move here. This pawn can move. This bishop can move. This pawn can move. This pawn can move. This pawn can move. And the king can move. Therefore, that in no way is a forcing move. So you've got to start looking for forcing moves. And forcing moves typically are checks or threats. So here I can see 2 checks. This, while it's a check, it's not a forcing move, because even here the king has a choice between taking the rook and actually refusing to take the sacrifice. And therefore, that's not a forcing move and that's not a ZugZwang move in itself. But think about another check, which is this. Why is this the forcing move? This is amazingly forcing because the king can't come here thanks to the rook controlling the square, can't come here thanks to the bishop controlling the square, and therefore he's forced to go there. So 9 out of 10, in fact 99 out of 100, the chances are that this is your answer. Why? Because you're following the principle of ZugZwang, which is you're searching for forcing moves. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, so this is black to move and checkmate. Is there a forcing move here? Usually I look for checks. There are only 2 possible checks, which is the queen sacrifice. Now you can think of queen takes pawn. The problem is it can be taken back by the rook or the king, and therefore that's not the answer. But again, 9 out of 10, this is the answer. Because once he takes it, then it's very easy to see a back rank mate, which is again checkmate in 1 patterns. What about now? Can I see forcing moves? Yes, this is a check which is a forcing move because king can't take him. Thanks to the support from both the knight and the pawn, the queen has to take him. And when the queen takes him, you can take it back with the pawn, and that's a checkmate. Right, so let's take another one. Do I have a forcing move here, which is again a check, which would basically be this, should be the move. And now I can look at this and say this is a fishtail checkmate. Another one for the road. What about now? Do I see forced checkmates, forced moves, forcing moves? This is kind of slightly tricky. So let's see. Okay, so this particular move, the king has multiple places to go, but this particular move has a forcing response in terms of either this or this. So while it's not a forced move, it's a forced response. He either has to block it or move. And in either case, it doesn't matter because queen takes pawn is check. So I hope this video was useful. I would request you to go and check out Checkmate in 2 and Checkmate in 3 and try and apply this principle of ZugZwang, which is look for the forcing move, which is usually a check or a threat, because you're not giving a lot of option to your opponent. And like in this particular case, when you gave the queen f5 check, he either had to block it with a pawn or he had to move his king to h6. It didn't matter which way he moved. Eventually, it would be queen coming to the square g5 to checkmate him. So try applying this and you'll be able to find a lot of, simple calculation moves, and that'll really, really help build your calculation in chess and recognize patterns, because ultimately you'll be doing a checkmate which needs a pattern. Like this is the pattern of hug of death. I hope this was useful. Please share any thoughts or comments in the comment section. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.